Hi friends, I'm Tati, welcome back to my channel, and today I am going to be doing my end of the year book haul. So, I did a mid-year book haul back in July, I think it was, that I posted it, but I stopped counting at the end of June. And so today is gonna be the books I have amassed from July all the way to December. It is a lot because I think I went a little book crazy, especially because this is the first year that I've really gotten back into reading. I'm currently sitting at 98 books read this year, and I'm filming this a few days before the end of the year, so I'm hoping to get to 100 by the 31st. So we'll see how that goes. But I went a little book crazy because I started really reading again this year, and so I bought a whole lot of books. So we're gonna go through them all. I am counting physical books, ebooks, audiobooks, all the books. If it sits on one of my accounts permanently or on my shelves, it is going on this haul. So let's get started. I'm gonna do this chronologically, starting from July, ending in December. Let's get started. First thing, this mug is part of the haul because I got it at the bookstore. It has like the pride flag, which we love, and then it just says book nerd, which I love. I got this in October, but I figured I'd show it to you now. The first book that I acquired in the month of July was War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. This was actually a gift from my godmother. So I have a wide collection of the Penguin cloth bounds. I don't have them all, but I am slowly collecting them. And so she usually is the one that adds to my collection whenever she spots one of them out in the wild. And so she got me War and Peace. Next book that I got was With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I love Elizabeth Acevedo. I discovered her works this year and I have fallen in love with her and her writing to the point that after I read The Poet X, I have not known what a single one of her books is about before I picked it up. I just picked it up and went straight into reading. I got this at the bookstore and I just saw that it was hers, and I took it home with me. Like, I didn't even look at the synopsis, didn't bother to check Goodreads, and I actually finished this last night and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was so ridiculously good. Next on the list is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I loved this book. I read it, I think it was in September, and I binged through the entire series so quickly. It was just so good. It was so good. I got this in July, but I didn't end up reading it until September, and it was so good that I binged the series in just a few days, and I made an accidental series binge video about it. This was a 5 out of 5 for me. Next we have The Witch Boy by Molly Knox Ostertag. This is a YA LGBT graphic novel, and it was really good. It's about this boy who lives in the woods with his family, and in his family like enforces some very strict gender norms, like women are witches and men are shifters, but then Aster is a witch, so he has to go through all the trials and tribulations of like having his making sure his family accepts him for being a witch. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I really liked it. The next book I got after The Witch Boy was The Hidden Witch by Molly Knox Ostertag. This is the follow-up to The Witch Boy. I got it like a few days after I got The Witch Boy because I loved the first one so much that I just needed to read the second one as soon as possible, and I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars as well. The next book I got was We Hunt the Flame. I don't really know much about this book. I know it's supposed to be like a YA fantasy, enemies to lovers, one is trying to kill the other, which is right up my alley, but it was on sale for like $2.99 on the Kindle store, so I grabbed it. Finally in July I got an arc of Blaze Wrath Games by Amparo Ortiz, which I made a whole vlog about, in which I reviewed it and went up to my godparents' house in Calle to review it because the main character Lana is originally from Calle, so I thought it was very fitting to just go all the way over there in order to just film my vlog and review. And now we move on to August. The first book I got is If We Were Villains by ML Rio, and I got this on Kindle. It was on sale, so I grabbed it. Next we have Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. I really have no words for this. You can see that there's some tabs because I started reading it, but I've started reading it like 3 times, and then after the first chapter, I just drift off, so I don't read it anyway. This, I'm hoping to read it in 2021 at some point, but who knows when that will happen. Next, My friends are gonna make so much fun of me, but I do not care. The next book I got in August was Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. Yes, I know this is the last book in the trilogy, but I grabbed it because they had it at the store and it has the matching spines that matches the rest of my collection of Cassandra Clare. So I just grabbed it in the moment and continued to collect the rest of the trilogy as it appeared at my local bookstore. So you're gonna see not as much Cassandra Clare as you saw in the last haul video, but there is presence. And that same day I grabbed Ghost of the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare. And I think that same day actually I behaved very badly that day. I had zero impulse control that day. I also got The Falling in Love Montage by Sierra Smith. It's a sapphic romance. That's all you need to know. That's all I needed to know in order to pick it up. I don't actually know what this book is about. I know there's sapphic romance in it, so she's on my shelves. Next is Songs of Innocence and Experience by William Blake. This is from the Penguin Clothbound Classics, so my godmother got me this as well. That day she also brought over this book, which is called Las Mujeres que Luchan se Encuentran. Also in English it would be Women Who Fight Find Each Other, and it's by Catalina Ruiz Navarro, and it's a book about modern pop feminism in Latin America. This is something that I really want to read in 2021. I'm thinking that because it is a chunky book and also I read very, very slowly in Spanish, I might just start it at some point in February and just like keep coming back to it throughout the year until I eventually finish it. Next book I got was The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wong. This is a cute little graphic novel about a prince in like turn of the century France or something like that that likes to dress up in dresses, and so he hires this very daring, bold dressmaker, and they eventually become friends as she is designing gowns for him. And it's just a really cute love story and friendship story, honestly. The next two books I got were Harvest of Sighs and Door of Bruises by Sierra Simone. I've read them both. I gave Harvest of Sighs 4 stars and I gave Door of Bruises 5 stars. This is my trash Thorn Chapel series that I enjoy so much. I know it's trash, leave me alone. This is how I'm going to talk about it. Next on the list is Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabi Rivera. This was a birthday present from Mika that I have yet to read and I need to read very, very soon, and I am excited to get to. Thank you, Mika, for the present. I have not forgotten about it. It is getting read very, very soon. And finally, the last book I got in August was Ellas Historias de Mujeres Puertorriqueñas. It's a book about a bunch of very important historical Puerto Rican women. I originally got this as a birthday gift for my godmother, but great minds think alike, and she'd already bought this for herself. So she told me to keep it and I just got her something else. Okay, so let's go on to September. There's also some university books interspersed here because I started my master's program, so I had to buy all the books for my master's program, and I really didn't buy most of them. I found most of them either on Scribd or Audible or whatever, and the ones that I couldn't find, I bought those. So let's get started. First off is the Norton Shakespeare. It is the 3rd edition. It is a big boy. It is very heavy. It has all of Shakespeare's works. I, used it very frequently for my class, so here you go. This, I actually decided to buy it because I know I'm going to be in university for a while, and Shakespeare is going to continue to come up in my education, and I also really like Shakespeare, so I decided to buy the full thing rather than just like downloading the poems from somewhere. And also the Norton has really great information that I used in order to write some of my essays, so it was definitely a good purchase. Next, we have a book that I did not use, On the Road, the Original Scroll by Jack Kerouac. I detest Jack Kerouac with a passion. I find his writing to be super pretentious, makes little to no sense. I will be unhauling this. If anyone by any chance is interested in having this, I will gladly send it to you, so just comment down below and we'll figure it out. Next is The Portable Beat Reader by Penguin Classics. I got this for my studies in poetry class. We were studying the beats, which is why I got the Jack Kerouac book, but we didn't really use it at all, and the parts of On the Road that I needed to read were on this thing, so I don't know why the professor made us buy it, but he did. So it's fine. I have this. I am gonna keep this because I wanna actually read through this at some point. Next, I have some fun stuff. Next thing I got was The Midwinter Witch, which is the follow-up to The Hidden Witch graphic novel. Really, really good. Really enjoyed it. Loved the character progression in it. 5 out of 5 stars. Next book that I got was Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. I actually read this in November. I think I started in the last couple days of October and finished it in early November, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. It was so good. I loved the romance in it, the culture in it, everything was excellent. Next we have Portrait of an Eye by Kathy Acker. This was for my crime literature course. I only had to read one novel in this book and I DNF'd it. I read like 150 pages and then I just like stopped. Like I said with the On the Road original scroll, if you are interested in this book, comment down below. I'll send it to you. I have no big attachment to this book, so I will gladly send it to someone who is more interested in it than I am. Next, we have Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the third book in the Illuminae files. I actually bought this a few days after I finished Illuminae because I went to grab Gemina, which is the second book, and they didn't have it at the bookstore. So as I waited for Gemina to arrive, I grabbed this anyway, just to make sure that when Gemina did arrive, I wasn't also scrambling to find Obsidio. The next book I got in September was the Red, White, and Royal Blue hardcover. So this is from Book of the Month. This is a special printing from Book of the Month, and Book of the Month does not ship to Puerto Rico. So I had to talk to one of my best friends, Megan, who lives in Boston. She was my roommate in college, and I had to send this to her house and then she sent it to me. So thank you for doing that for me. And I just needed to have this book, and with this book I officially own all possible versions of this book. I own the paperback, the hardback, the audiobook, and the ebook. I have every single possible version of this book, and that brings me so much joy. Next book that came along in September was Gemina. This I had to place a hold in my local bookstore so that when they received it finally they would give me a call, and literally as soon as they called me I sprinted to the store, and they were kind enough to do that for me, and I loved this book, so it was a 5 out of 5 stars as well for me. The entire Illuminae files were 5 out of 5 stars for me. Next on the pile we got Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This is the first one in the Dark Artifices series. Look, the matching spines. I'm all for the matching spine game. After that I got Heartstopper Volume 3 which I ordered from Book Depository in like August, and it arrived in late September, and I loved it. I read it, 5 out of 5 stars. This is probably my favorite volume so far, and I can't wait for volume 4 that comes out in May 2021. And the last book that I got in September was The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. I got this because it was on sale, but also because I'd already listened to the audiobook on Taylor's recommendation, and it was so freaking good. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was so good. I love a standalone fantasy. It was just the one book, no more, not a series, and I absolutely adored it. Okay, on to October. The first book I got in October was The Wicker King by Kay Ancrum. It was on sale, that's why I grabbed it. I don't really know what it's about, but I am pretty sure it's part of the Alphabet Mafia books. I'm not quite sure. The next book that I got was Blaze Wrath Games by Amparo Ortiz. This is the final version of Blaze Wrath Games. It is hardcover. She is beautiful. She is signed on the inside. I bought it at my local bookstore because I love to support my local bookstore and I love to support local authors, so here you go. The next book I got was Memento by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is a Illuminae Files novella. It takes place before the events of Illuminae, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I really loved it, and one thing I love about Illuminae is the character development that the writers are able to achieve in such a short amount of time, and this was definitely evident in Memento, and I absolutely loved it. October was midterms month for university, and so once I finished midterms I decided to reward myself with something, and so I placed an order through Waterstones in the UK in order to get all of Alice Oseman's works. I really wanted all these pretty, beautiful pastel-y covers, and so I got it. So let's go through them. I got Loveless, I Was Born for This, Radio Silence, which I've already read because Taylor gave me a different copy for my birthday, so 5 out of 5 for me. This Winter, which is a solitaire novella, Nick and Charlie, another solitaire novella, and Solitaire. I got all of her books. That's something that I really wanted to do as a present to myself, and so I did it. And also, it looks so beautiful on my shelves. And the last book that I got in October was King Lear by William Shakespeare. I got this parallel text edition that I really love. I started using these in high school because these were the assigned versions that we would use in high school, and I absolutely love them because English isn't my first language, and also in general Shakespeare's language can be a little inaccessible to people who even speak English as a native language. So I really like these because they have the original Shakespeare language and then they have a modern English translation, and I really love it because it helps me better understand the play. And since I was writing essays on this play, I decided to get the parallel text. Something I really love about this edition is that it makes Shakespeare more accessible to more people, because I personally really enjoy Shakespeare, but reading it can be a bit of a hassle. I personally love using the audiobooks because Shakespeare is meant to be seen in performance rather than read, so that's really good. But with the audiobook I can miss things, but these really help me catch every single detail that I need to know. So, November. I really decreased my book buying in November because I realized that I was buying way too many books. So, the lists for November and December are quite short. First book that I got in November was They Both Die at the End by Alan Silvera. I had tried to listen to the audiobook for this a few months ago, but I listened to like the first 2 chapters and I couldn't really get into it, and so I decided to buy a physical copy, which I haven't read yet. Next, I got the parallel text for Othello. Much like with King Lear, this brings a lot of context that I can sometimes miss when I'm reading Shakespeare or listening to Shakespeare, so I got it. Next, I got The Hostage Bargain by Annika Martin. Look, once I finished the Thornchapel Quartet, I felt bereft. I needed something, and this was supposed to be like a poly romance as well, but it was trash. It was, and not in a good way. It was not very good. I think I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. It was just bleh. The next book that I got in November was How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories. I got the audiobook for this because I really wanted it, and I also really wanted to read this book that was from Carden's perspective. I kind of want to get a physical copy because of the art in it, but for now I will settle for having the audiobook version. Next, I got Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon Maguire. This I got because Tor was giving away the entire series for free for like an entire week, starting at the last day of November and ending in the first couple days of December. So I got the entire series for free, which was awesome. On to December. The next couple books that I got in December were Down Among the Sticks and Bones, Beneath the Sugar Sky, In an Absent Dream, and Come Tumbling Down. Next book I got was The Afterlife of Holly Chase. I got it because it was on sale and because Sammy and Skylar really loved it, but I ended up listening to the audiobook because it was on Scribd, and I was still like at work during those days, so it was just easier for me to listen to it on audio, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I got was the audiobook for Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I absolutely fucking loved it. It was a 5 out of 5 stars for me. And finally, the last 2 things that I got at the end of the year were Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia and the entire Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. These were Secret Santa presents from Mika. Thank you. She got me 2 things because she wanted to get me the Percy Jackson series because I have the series, but they're very old copies, they're very busted, and they don't match. And so I really wanted to get this like nice brand new box set, especially because I try to reread these at least every 1 to 2 years. But she also wanted to get me something that I hadn't read. And just, I'm overflown with emotion. So yeah, I now have Gods of Jade and Shadow, which will be read soon, and a brand spanking new edition of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And there are no words for me to describe how happy this makes me. Okay, bye. So yeah, it's The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. And The Last Olympian is my favorite. So yeah, this, I was planning on rereading them in January as it was. So now this gives me even more of fire to reread them. So those were all of the books that I got from July to December 2020. It is a big ass haul. I'm going to be trying to not buy as many books in 2021. Obviously, university books are not included in that because I need those for my studies. So it's just, I have to get those whether I want to or not. So yeah, I bought a lot of books this year. I'm hoping to decrease that next year because I have filled this entire shelf, this entire bookcase, which you can't see all of it, but it's almost completely full, and I did all of that this year. This was empty at the beginning of the year and now it is full. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Come yell at me down in the comments about how I buy too many books and I need to stop buying books, or how I need to buy more books. Either one's fine. If you want any of the 2 books that I mentioned previously in the video, be sure to leave me a comment down below and I'll get in touch and we can figure it out. Thank you for spending this time with me. Be sure to support your local indie bookstore. I've been Tati and I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye!